Now, we're moving, though. We're moving so quickly and so into a vast movement of people who are coming to the reality that they must recognize the truth on the planet. They must. Whether they be students of the Baba Gita, whether they be students of the Torah, Tanakh, the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, whether it be the Holy Quran Holy or whether it be the Holy Quran Circle 7. We must understand that everyone must come to a reality. That all these things that are happening now have to come to pass in order that we might be able to live anything that we might deem to be the future or the now. We have to recognize these things. In accordance now to everything that's going on, we got so many people that are sitting by, waiting to see what's going to be the end result, or they can just jump in at any given moment after the results have been already declared. I can assure those people that's not going to happen. See, you're either going to prove yourself now that you're either worthy or unworthy. You're going to either prove yourself to be hot or cold. You must understand that in all of the scriptures it tells you that if you come bearing this so-called would-be title of being lukewarm, you will be spewed out of the mouth of the one you know to be your God and everyone else's God. Because you will be eliminated from this righteous world of living. We got so many scholars out there now. You know, we have those scholars that everyone believed that they brought some so-called would-be technological world to us. Technology has been around since the beginning of time. Not everyone has used it in accordance to doing nothing more than building up the world, and a lot of them have used it for adverse reasons. Adverse reasons whereby it was to benefit them and destroy everyone else's would-be identity and destroy everyone else's would-be benefits. And moving in the mountains of what's growing, mountains we do know are positions, high positions, mountains. That's what mountains are. And even though we have in the past brought you certain would-be statements, such statements that constantly are repeated by a lot of the so-called would-be authors of the world who believe that they're bringing some gospel would-be truth to the planet. And they keep talking about the mountains and the rocks running to hide from the voice of which they know to be the voice of reckoning for them, whereby they must be held accountable. Those mountains being people in high places, giant people in high places, people of great authority, people of high would-be so-called visual status. And all of them are classified to be mountains. And then they have those that are kind of working at their feet, round and about them. Those people are classified as the rocks. And it says that the rocks and the mountains will be running when that voice comes, where they must be put in a position and they will be held accountable for all the things that they would have committed up to this point. Those rocks will be running. The mountains will be running. And the rocks will say to the mountains, can you stop just for a brief moment that we might hide ourselves from the wrath of the one and the voice of the one who's coming for us to be held accountable and even by chance be put to death. And the mountains will say that we cannot stop and hide you, neither can we even slow down for a brief moment of you being able to shadow yourself. A shadow is something that we are trying to create for ourselves right now. We are also too running from the same voice of reckoning. Again, I say these mountains are people. They're positions. And they are in a status whereby one might believe that they stand so high that their heads are in the clouds and they're able to look into heaven while still being flat-footed. Stay with me. And the rocks will be those that are so small. They've been sitting at the feet of the mountains, doing nothing more than sucking up the benefits from the mountains from below. Stay with me. I know some of your minds go kind of a little bit shaky and shattering when you start talking about sitting below someone where your heads are just below their crowds. Stay with me. I just want you to keep it into a form whereby you understand that not everybody has to suckle his way to success. Stay with me. God Almighty. But I can assure you that being close to the zipper, a lot of times you will get caught in every now and then, whereby someone would have to come along and kind of get you out of a rough spot or a dangerous spot when it's needed. I know. I can see all the masculine force now begin to cringe, because every now and then, I'm pretty sure one or two of you have found yourself at what is known as a urinal, whereby you kind of want to move a little bit faster than what you're urinating, and thereby you've caught yourself in your own zipper, only to have to scream for a little while to release yourself. But anyway, again, speaking in a manner whereby to keep it decent, where the whole entire universe don't get offended. We must understand now that we're at that time, we're at that point where everyone has gotten themselves caught in a zipper or two. And to be able to be released in a manner whereby now you realize that you don't want to cause the pain for yourself, so you're kind of looking around as if though you're needing someone to come along and just jerk that zipper down at a moment whereby you don't have to focus on that it's going to hurt. You know what I mean? God Almighty. I'm talking about the pain of what everybody's going through now. But especially for those of you who have not yet identified yourself. You're too busy trying to hide. You're too busy trying to be those rocks, waiting for the mountains to fall on you to hide you from the wrath of the one who's coming, that's bringing this force of nothing more than you having to be recognized, and that you have to be held accountable for the sins and the crimes that you have committed against man and God. It's here. It's upon you. And yes, I'm listening to all of the would-be great messages that's coming from around the world. And I'm listening to all the great information that's coming from everyone that's particularly giving it now. But I need you to understand, again, the war did not start in Ukraine because of anything that Ukraine may have in reference to being able to defeat Russia or any other nation. It has everything to do with the United States of America, which has the ability for it, that it has committed itself to at least be able to voice in some manner of confidence that it has the ability to be able to destroy all nations or any nation whereby it declares war on, which we know that is totally a fabrication of the greatest lie that could be the greatest secret of all time. Because even though, yes, it has a mass army, it has a mass marine, it has a mass navy, an air force, and even a Coast Guard service that is very massive in the United States of America. But its inability to be able to use it in a manner whereby that its greatest weapon was to be what would have been classified as a true authoritarian leadership based upon correct, strong authority is not there. It's not there, and it never will be. And even though the United States of America right now has declared within its own would-be acknowledgement that they're going to somehow put some leader in charge that they might even deem to be one of the next greatest dictators, knowing that that leader has no ability to dictate anything. No offense to Mr. Donald J. Trump, but one must be able to read what you're dictating to others. No offense. But Mr. Donald J. Trump knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. And that's not to even attack him, but that's to give him a true understanding that which has been written in several different languages. And Mr. Trump himself, I'm pretty sure, would agree now that he still has problems being able to decipher whether it's correct English or some would-be street slang that has been given to the whole United States of America as some would-be so-called language. It's a message. It's a message of hope. Everybody is using hope now. They have given up on faith. They hope that things hold up. They hope that they make it through. They hope that they can carry on. But you have to remember, they have served under certain leaderships in the would-be world of ministry whereby it has told them to keep hope alive. Keeping hope alive is not going to do anything for your faith. I need you to understand that. You must understand that even though you may muster up all of the hope in the world, it tells you that faith is dead without works, and works is dead without faith. So if you don't have these things, I can tell you that you're going to be classified either incompetent or incapable of being able to complete the task and the mission in which you have been commanded to do by God. So I don't have time to clear all this up. My advice to you is that you listen to it over and over again and take your notes as well as you can, and whereby you might just be able to teach yourself in a manner whereby teaching is caught, not taught, and thereby you might be able to catch something that's very valuable to your own humble survival. Again, the United States of America, yes, as the host has given you in such great would-be detail, the American government has spent so many, I would say, dark midnight hours doing nothing more than building up nations to fight against nations, giving not only what they classify to be some financial backing of status, but they have been also giving weapons and material things to keep these nations warring against each other while they themselves, again, do exactly what they did in a nation that they now call the United States of America, and that's destroying 5 unincorporated nations and their would-be tribal would-be conventions. They met tribally. All of the 5 unincorporated nations, they were meeting constantly in the U.S. of A. But because they allowed themselves to become so infused with those that were classified as Europeans coming there, as some so-called would-be peacekeepers, peacemakers, and they allowed themselves to align themselves with them, and whereby they began to set up ways to destroy them and take over their land and to do nothing more than destroy their people. And they just wasn't destroying any people in that land. They were destroying those that they deemed to be the strong. They knew that only the strong would survive. They just had no idea that as they were using the phrase that it would remain a truth, and whereby the strong in the U.S. of A., in that land, in those nations, are still thriving and growing by this very hour. And this is the fear now. This is the fear of all the would-be warmongers that are still in the United States of America. Help me out, Bannon. Are you still out there? You have been yourself accused of being a warmonger. But you understand the warmongers came way before your time. John Bolden, as he known to be, still sitting around doing nothing more than warmongering, trying to find ways to create wars, to fight wars. He was in the would-be so-called George W. Bush regime of administration. Bolden has been nothing more. He has been nothing more than a disruptive would-be character. Even during his time, was nothing more than a war professor, teaching war in universities, teaching how war should be fought. And he himself had no understanding whatsoever of the art of war. He wore a very thick mustache, and that was to cover his lip from all the bullcrap he would let fly out of it. At times, he should have kept his trap shut. Stay with me, Bolden. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and I wish you would. I wish you would threaten me. I wish you would. I need you to. Yeah, I understand. You and I, we have never been mutual friends, and we never will be mutual friends. We won't be friends at all, because I know you to be nothing more than an enemy of God. And enemies of God will always remain an enemy of mine, and I will terminate them as I move forward. Not a threat, a promise. I will deliver it myself on a silver platter, trimmed in gold. Trust me, I will be holding the platter just in case you need a reflection of knowing exactly where I'm at. When the light begins to glare in your face, you'll know exactly where I'm at. I won't be hiding. The world needs to know the truth. For then only the truth will set them free. And once they're free, they shall be free and free indeed. I'm getting so tired of the story about Lewis and Clark and them somehow set sailing from some European world where they found themselves in a land that had not yet been truly recognized or identified or even discovered. And they themselves finding one small child, about 12, possibly 11 years old, and doing nothing more than raping her and then classifying her as being some young woman, where they were able to somehow convince her to go back to her family and ask for her hand in marriage, that they might be able to at least receive half of the land in which her family owned in this free world they call now the United States of America. Her name was Pocahontas. Stay with me. God Almighty. What will those creepy old white men not do? Say what they Donald Trump. I didn't say creepy old white Trumps would do. I said white men. You have to understand that it's only you that's classifying yourself. You still have been identified as being a person of color, not a white man. You might want to tell all the white men that have classified themselves as being white men, you might want to tell them that's not the right identity in which they should be even referring to themselves as of this time. Vladimir Putin has not classified himself as a white man. Elon Musk has not classified himself as a white man, and by right now, he wouldn't be able to because he has also declared himself to be a United States of America citizen by way of them giving him a citizenship in the United States of America, and by right, he would be the only true African American in the United States of America at this given time. And he has to hold that title, and I would say to him, I surely don't want it. I'm not an African American. I never will be an African American because I have never held any residence in Africa, not a permanent one. I've never held a birth certificate or a death certificate or any other type of certificate in Africa whereby I could be classified African first and American second. Never. And whereby, yes, I would say to Mr. Elon Musk, you are an African American. Welcome to my land. We're moving forward, and we must work together now. We have no choice. Why? It would be classified as first blood. I'm pretty sure that one known as Sylvester Stallone could explain to you what happens when you find yourself drawing first blood from those of the true land in which you are now doing nothing more than residing in, classifying yourself as being one of them. First blood. You drew the blood. Now you have to pay the cost. Now you got to deal with those that are often been forgotten that this is their land and they're not going anywhere. I know these are times where I have to educate the whole entire international global world. I don't get a whole lot of time to do such. I'm too busy convincing the people that they are in the land. Rather than convincing those that the land belongs to the people, I'm convincing the people that they are the land. That's why I know for a fact we're still living in a time where people are sleeping in a dying world. This dying world must be resurrected based upon CPR, cardio, pulmonary resuscitation. They must have life blown back into their nostrils where it will find itself doing nothing more than pressurizing what is known as their lungs, and then those lungs will begin to once again beat as their heart is beating. And whereby lungs and heart beating on the same rhythmistic would be so-called method, only then can we classify them as having life. They will have the breath of life, sovereignty, and whereby it will be one step away from being a total heartbeat for the world. Life has been given us. The breath of life we have been given by the only true God of the universe. He's the creator of all things, and whereby now his breath still resides on all of us in a manner whereby it is sovereign. And that sovereign breath cannot be deleted by some so-called would-be regime of 2008 or 2016 or no other would-be so-called 2000th year. We'll never be able to take it away. It's kind of, I would say, ironic that we're going to go from 2008 or 2008 to being 2030, and thereafter 2040, and thereafter 2050. And everybody is wondering what will happen by the year 3000. Let me help you out. The year 3000 will never come because you can't just as well say that you would get out of what will be known as the 25th century. Not going to happen. You will either learn to live in the 25th century or you will be excluded from all centuries here and there to come. Straight life of living would be a recommendation coming from only the voice in which can give it. Kiss the Son unless he becomes angry and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled only but a little. Blessed are all those who put their trust in him. That being